I'm Mayor Verge Bernero, and you're watching Money Power. Money Power will help you learn ways to get money, save money, and manage money. The show is part of the City of Lansing's Financial Empowerment Center, a partnership between the City of Lansing and Capital Area Community Services. The Financial Empowerment Center offers free one-on-one financial counseling to Lansing residents. Call 211 today to schedule your free appointment. It's safe, confidential, and can help you pay off debt, improve your credit score, access safe and affordable bank products, and save for the future. The Lansing Financial Empowerment Center is made possible by a grant from the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, a program of Bloomberg Philanthropies' Mayor's Project.
For the last 25 years, Elder Law of Michigan has been helping seniors throughout the state of Michigan with their problems that they may be having, whether it be legal or financial. We started that long ago with our legal hotline for Michigan seniors. We also provide counseling on pension issues, housing issues, and benefits access and screening issues. Recently, we've also added some nutritional counseling. We serve about 6,000 clients every year with a range of problems, from how to get a power of attorney revoked all the way up to how do I save my home from foreclosure. So a lot of our clients that call us are fairly low income, limited assets, and they have nowhere else to turn to. If it's not a service we directly help, but try to find out what the best solution is, and sometimes the best solution is no solution. And so we've really worked really hard with our clients to try to develop a plan to help them find out what's best in their situation. The issue of scams, whether it's be on television or by telephone or in the mail, is one that unfortunately is continuing to grow. Even though there's a public education campaign out there, we hear things about it all the time. You know, the state of Michigan is working really hard to try to educate the public about it. But these types of scams are continuing to grow. You know, for us, we see more of the telephone scams than we do the television scams. And the telephone scams happen for a variety of reasons. You know, oftentimes the senior is home alone and they don't have anyone to talk to on a daily basis. And so this person that calls them, triggers in on that and tries to build this relationship, and it makes the person want to talk to them and starts trusting them. You know, some other times the senior may be in financial, stress because maybe they owe a hospital bill or something like that, and they don't want to tell their family members about it. And so, getting a telephone call from someone that says you won a lottery that you never even entered, sounds like an easy way out. And my number one advice that I tell people, and it's probably advice we've heard over the years, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if it's something that you didn't enter, then you probably didn't win it. And so, we encourage our clients that if they get calls like that and it's not, they're just not sure about it, that what they should probably do is ask for a name and number, and say, let me call you back. If you truly won something, they'll be happy to give you that information. But if you haven't, then that should send off red flags. And don't be ashamed if something happens and you feel like you've done something wrong. Don't be ashamed to call and ask for help. The best time to avoid this, of course, is before it happens. But the sooner after something like this occurs, and that little feeling in your stomach's like, well, maybe that's not absolutely right. Or sometimes the feeling is, it's too good to be true type thing. Call somebody, call our hotline, call a family member, and let them get involved, because there may be a way to stop it in some situations. We have one toll-free number that works for all of our programs, and that's 1-866-400-9164. By calling that one number, you can access our legal hotline, our pension counseling program, our housing counseling program, our My Cafe program, which is the benefits screening and access assistance program. The most common problem that we see has to do with limited income and having too much debt. We deal, about 40% of our clients across all our programs have an underlying income debt related issue. Whether it's, they've gotten in debt because of an unpaid hospital bill, or credit cards that have gotten out of control, or maybe it's just they just don't have enough income. Most of our clients are in a situation where they can't go back to work. They can't go get a job somewhere to help supplement their income, and so they're living off of what they, what they're bringing home through Social Security or maybe a pension. And so, these two types of problems, impact everything else, whether it's, being sued for credit card issues, or being possibly evicted, or going through foreclosure. So all of these problems all come back to not having enough money or being, forced to deal with debt issues. You need to know your rights when it comes to debt. that, we hear way too many times of a senior that's been told by a creditor, that you're going to jail if you don't pay your credit card bill, or, that they can garnish your Social Security check. And both of those statements are, the most false statements that you can make regarding those things. And so, when it comes to things like that, take the time and know your rights about it. If a senior's looking to save money, I think, kind of sounding like a broken record, know your rights and know what you're eligible for. If you're dealing with debt issues, that you take the time to call someone and let them educate you. Remember, the person that you're talking to on the telephone, they're not looking out for your best interest. They're trying to collect a debt. So, by calling our hotline at 866-400-9164, you can talk to an attorney and let the attorney give you some advice on exactly what you have to pay. In situations like where one spouse dies and the other spouse is, remaining, being told you have to pay for that other spouse's debt, you're not going to save money trying to pay off a debt you don't owe. Sometimes even debts that are too old, if they're over a certain age, maybe you don't have to pay for that. So know what your rights are, because if you think about it, even if you're paying $25 a month to this credit card company that you don't really have to pay, that adds up at the end of the year to several $100s that you could be saving. The other thing is to know what benefits you might be entitled to. Last year in our programs, we screened all of our clients to find out if there was a benefit that maybe they were eligible for they weren't taking advantage of. 9 out of 10 of our clients were eligible for some type of benefit they were not taking advantage of. And we're not talking about the little small benefits, we're talking about what we call our key benefits. The ones that, the average benefit may be $100 or so a month. Things like the food assistance program or the Medicare savings program, the low income subsidy. I say that, recognize that not every senior that's seeing this program is going to qualify for all these benefits, but it only takes 10 or 15 minutes to find out if there's any of them that you're eligible for. And again, calling our toll-free number, we're happy to screen you for any of those benefits that you might be entitled to, and we'll help you apply for it. There's no cost for any of our services. Of course, we happily accept donations. Any person over the age of 60 qualifies for all of our programs, regardless of income. They have to be a Michigan resident in most cases. We also provide a lot of our services to persons with disabilities. So if they have a disability and they're under the age of 60, we'll still help them and try to connect them to the services or see what service we can provide. Our pension program and our housing counseling program will help someone of any age, regardless of income as well. So we don't charge for anything, but like I said, we will certainly ask you for a donation when it's all over with.
My name is Aaron Shanefield. I am an attorney at the law firm of Goldstein, Burchard, and Freed. We're a law firm in Southfield, Michigan, and our firm specializes in insolvency law. We assist financially distressed individuals and businesses and come up with creative solutions to help them through these difficult financial times. I've always specialized in the area of insolvency law, which means we're helping financially distressed individuals and businesses. When someone thinks of a bankruptcy, a lot of people are concerned that they might lose their assets when they file bankruptcy. Well, in a bankruptcy, you are allowed an exemption of your assets, which means after you disclose the value of your assets, there's an exemption amount that can be taken to exempt or protect the value of that asset. And as long as the individual falls within the exemption limits, then there will not be any risk of losing those assets. All real property and all personal property is exempt as long as it falls within the exemption limits, which I was referring to earlier. You list all of your assets, put a value on everything. As long as it falls within what the bankruptcy code says, this is your exemption, you don't lose that asset, the trustee's not going to sell it, and you get to keep everything that you have. In addition to exemptions, a lot of people aren't aware that you can discharge taxes in a bankruptcy as well. There are certain qualifications that you have to meet. Certain taxes can be discharged. The ones that cannot be discharged, there's still an advantage in filing a Chapter 13 bankruptcy in the sense that it will allow the individual 3 to 5 years to pay off those income taxes at no interest, and that will put a stop on all collection. The debt limits for Chapter 13 are $380,000 for unsecured debt and $1 million or so for secured debt. If you have more than that amount of debt, you're not going to qualify for Chapter 13. I think the negative stigma that was attached to bankruptcy is a thing of the past. Right now, we're seeing clients of all different backgrounds coming to our office. We have a lot of doctors, lawyers, dentists, a lot of professionals that we're seeing that these are the type of clients that we had never seen before. These are individuals that need financial assistance, and that stigma that was negative in the past is no longer there. These are people who encounter some difficult financial situations through no fault of their own most of the times, whether it would be a job loss, drop in income, medical issues, divorce. So our job is to meet with the clients to put together a plan of action to assist them. And oftentimes filing bankruptcy can have a positive impact in the sense that after they file, they will have no debt, they'll have a clean slate. And actually a lot of creditors like to see that, and they're viewed as a better credit risk to creditors down the line.
Bankruptcy filings are up for quite a bit of time for different reasons. The depressed housing market, adjustable rate mortgages, job loss, drop in income, medical issues, divorce, or people just overextending themselves, living beyond their means.
There are three primary bankruptcies that we handle in our office. We assist clients with filing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, Chapter 11, and Chapter 13 bankruptcy.
Chapter 7 bankruptcy it's known as a liquidation, a straight discharge of all your debts. You don't pay anything back to your creditors. The idea is to discharge all the unsecured debts such as credit cards, medical bills, personal loans, guarantees on debts that were related to a business, etc. Once the bankruptcy is filed, the bankruptcy court sends out a notice to all the creditors. By law, at the time of the filing, all collection activity has to cease immediately. That means no more phone calls, no more letters, no more foreclosure actions, repossessions, garnishments. All, by law, has to stop immediately. If a creditor has knowledge of a bankruptcy and continues with collection attempts, they can be fined severely, and there's some harsh consequences if they don't abide by that. It's almost like a wall that's up between the creditors. Once the bankruptcy is filed, the wall goes down. These creditors can't cross that wall to continue collection.
Chapter 13 bankruptcy is a payment plan that an individual would be on for a minimum of 3 years, maximum of 5 years. And the goal is to have the individual pay all their net monthly disposable income. And what that means is you take a look at an individual's net household income and you subtract all their monthly expenses. And whatever they have left over at the end of the month, barring some other exceptions, is what they'll pay each month into their payment plan for the minimum of 3 years, maximum of 5 years. A Chapter 13 allows an individual who is behind on their mortgage payments and has a upcoming sheriff's sale to put a stop on that sheriff's sale.
Client's got a sheriff's sale next week. They owe $15,000. They can't come up with $15,000 to settle. The mortgage company's not being reasonable. File a Chapter 13 anytime before the sheriff's sale, puts a stop on the sheriff's sale, allows them to take that $15,000 of mortgage arrears and spread it out over 5 years at no interest.
The other bankruptcy is a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is another type of reorganization, usually on a much larger scale. It can be both for individuals and businesses, and that's for people that may not qualify for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy because they have too much debt. There are certain debt limits that you have to be within to qualify for Chapter 13, and if you don't, Chapter 11 is another option. And that's, when we sit down and analyze that with a client in a consultation, we can give them those options.
Certain debts cannot be discharged in a bankruptcy. Okay, student loans are one of them. The only way to discharge student loans is a very strict standard. It's called, you have to show undue hardship. Basically, you have to be able to show as the debtor that there's no chance that you're gonna ever be able to pay it back in full, okay? You gotta be almost permanently disabled, okay? And if you're young and maybe just going through some medical issues, but there's a chance that things might get better, they're not going to allow you to discharge a student debt. It's a very tough standard to meet.
If someone is overwhelmed with their financial situation, my first recommendation is to have them call me and we'll set up a consultation in our office. The client would come in and I would meet with them one-on-one and we would perform a complete analysis of their financial situation. We would find out what type of debts they have, what caused them to accumulate the debts, and what could be done to get them out of the financial situation that they're in.
Believe it or not, even after you file bankruptcy, there will be a ton of solicitations of credit cards that you'll get, and because they know after you file a Chapter 7, you can't file another Chapter 7 for 8 years to get a discharge. So you're on the hook for that. They know if they're gonna offer you some line of credit, you're liable on that debt because you can't get out of it for another 8 years. To prevent someone from filing bankruptcy, I would recommend that they sit down, all the members of the household sit down and put together a budget. List all their monthly household expenses, see what the monthly household income is, and make sure they're not living beyond their means, they're not overextending themselves, and that they can actually afford to pay their ongoing monthly living expenses. We also have to determine if it makes sense for them to continue paying on various debt that they have, whether it's credit cards or medical bills, because the client could be paying that for a number of years and not making any progress. They might just be paying on the late fees, interest, and penalties. And once they come in our office, we can tell them, essentially when they can stop the bleeding and to cut back on the payments of their debt, to look at other solutions to help them get out of these financial situations.
Looking for a job is a full-time job. And so it's not something you just do an hour a day or 2 hours a day. Literally, if someone is seeking a job, they should be working from 8 to 5 or even later to find that job. And attitude is very important, as well as making sure that your resume is up to date, your references are up to date, and that when you are going in looking for a job, that you should be dressed accordingly. So you're gonna go in and dress as though you are actually going for an interview, because you never know who you're gonna be talking with, who you're gonna be dropping the application off with. It could be the owner of the business, it could be the manager, and they're gonna be looking to see, okay, is this somebody that we want working for our company? When putting together your resume and listing your references, you want to make sure you call your references and get their permission to use them. I think that's the worst thing you can do, is to use someone and then the company calls them and they have no idea what you're talking about. They know the person, but they're not even sure if they should be given information about the person, because that person did not do their due diligence in contacting them to make sure it was okay. It's always best, if you can, to use the supervisor, your last supervisor. Now, I know many companies will only allow their HR folks to make recommendations, and if that's the case, then of course that's what what you have to do. But you want to make sure you at least include 1 or 2 business references, as well as a personal reference. If you've had a bad experience with a previous employer, you still need to list the position, especially if you were there a while. You still need to list that position on your resume, as well as an application if you're filling out an application. Again, what happens a lot of times is that depending on the company, they cannot release any negative information about you anyway. And in those instances, usually they'll say, well, yes, this person did work for us in this capacity from this time to that time. But companies have gotten very careful about giving negative information because of, threat of lawsuits and that type. Even for those that have had felonies or have been incarcerated, it's always good to be honest, and hopefully the employer will give you an opportunity to explain the situation and then make a judgment from there, because sometimes it's just not a good fit. It wasn't that anybody did anything wrong, it's just that it's just not a good fit for the company. And so if you can leave in a positive manner, even though it's negative, that's always in everybody's best interest, I believe. For someone that's been seeking a job for over 6 months without success, I would say don't give up. There are jobs out there. We've got plenty of jobs listed, but there's a skills mismatch. So for the individual that may be seeking, it may mean that you're going to have to go back to school, or if not school, to get some additional training. And so individuals really do have to be willing to do that if you want to get one of the better paying positions. For for someone that maybe has been laid off, that was at a job for quite a while, and they may not have a high school diploma or a GED, that's going to be tough. You are going to at least need to have the GED. And for those that can get a high school diploma, that's always the preference. But you are going to need a GED for most jobs anyway, as well as some additional training. So I recommend that you visit one of our 3 service centers in our area to get assistance with looking at your resume, with doing maybe some mock interviewing, because our centers do have employers, actual employers that will come in and allow you to do mock interviews. So then you get a chance to get some experience as well as getting feedback from an actual employer on how you can improve yourself. So we always encourage individuals to take advantage of the services that we offer totally free of charge, and you can come as often as you can in order to get to that point. And then also we do have programs that may be able to assist you in getting the education you need to get the jobs. We have a business services team that all they do is work with employers in our area. And so they're hearing what the employers need, and then they work with our contractors to make sure that when we are putting individuals in training, that there are going to be jobs once they complete the training. So I always encourage individuals to come into our service centers, do our orientation so that you can hear about what's available, and then make the decision as to whether or not you want to work with us to allow us to help you get that job. Usually if employers post a salary, they're normally not willing to go above the posted salary. Even when we hire, individuals will put a salary that's higher than what we've posted at. And for us, that's always an indication, well, you know, it raises a flag to, first of all, did they read what the posting was, and what makes them think that they deserve more than what it was posted at. So usually that's one of my interview questions. One of the first questions I might add that I ask them. Once you go in and go into the interview, you certainly have the right to ask for more. And maybe in some cases you might be successful, but it's just been my experience that employers do put a range for a reason, and many times that's the range that fits within their budget. So just don't be surprised if the answer is no, and then you have to decide that if the answer is no, is that an employer that you would still be interested in working for. Looking for a job is a full-time job. And there are individuals that they're here when I get here, and they're still here when I go. And for me, I know that that's somebody that's really serious in looking, because obviously they're sitting here, they're searching through the talent bank, they're searching through other websites trying to see if there's something out there that fits them. Visit one of our service centers and really talk to someone about the opportunities that are there. Take advantage of the classes that we offer. Having internet access here, I mean, you can go to company websites and research companies. And I feel like that's really important when you're looking for a job, as well as when you get the interview. You should research that company, know about what they do. If it's a company that you can go and observe, you know, just go and observe to see what the flow is. And because it could be that it's a position you're not really interested in doing, or it could be that the position is not what you thought that it would be. So if you have that opportunity, I think it's important to do that. But certainly do research. I mean, check with the Better Business Bureau and see if there have been lots of complaints about it, depending on, what the industry is. There's an opportunity to do some networking. We have a professional networking group that meets here at our Lansing Service Center, and these are individuals that have degrees, that have formed a group that meets, just because their issues may be different than someone that maybe just has the high school diploma or GED, that maybe they have quite a bit of work experience, versus somebody that hasn't worked at all and is just entering the workforce. So check out the opportunities that are available, because we've got something that will help you on your journey to finding a job. Come and see us and let us see what we can do to help you.
My name is Michelle. The original reason why I came was I had already looked at a financial counselor outside the FEC program, and they could do nothing for me. And it was recommended that I went to FEC, which they were able to look at different solutions that were not provided by a normal financial counselor. When I first came to FEC, I was kind of embarrassed about my situation. I was embarrassed the fact that I didn't know how to handle my circumstances. And FEC was like a compass navigating me through my situation. And they also believed in me. And that was something that was important. In my situation, I was looking for more income to pay off debt. And the ideas that my counselor actually presented to me were kind of outside the box thinking, and it gave me insight on how to capture more income, and it was pretty successful. I would say the most important goals that were set forth was consolidation of debt, and then going through methodically and placing priorities on budgeting. My counselor, I kid you not, is a miracle worker. She's incredible. When I first came on, I was kind of embarrassed with my situation, and she was able to really give me the direction and options for me to choose to gain my financial independence. I would say FEC is a great resource, and I think it's something that you may want to strongly consider no matter what your situation is. Either big or small, they can fix it, or they can give you the tools to fix it.
Thanks for watching Money Power. I hope you learned something that gives you the power. You can do it. We can help. I'm Mayor Virg Bernero. See you next time.